Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a look at the updated AP Top 25 poll here that was just released about 30 minutes ago. And we do have a new number one. Texas is back. This is the first time they've been number one in the AP poll since, I believe, 2008. They received 35 first place votes. They did crush UTSA and covered the spread easily, but it was more so Georgia struggling at Kentucky, a game that they could have lost. Now, Georgia was leading it throughout basically the entire fourth, but still, Kentucky had the ball near midfield. Kentucky had 11 more first downs than Georgia. They really couldn't generate big plays because Georgia's got a really good defense. But this is all going to be void one way or another, considering Georgia faces Alabama, the current number 4 team in the AP poll. That game will be happening 2 weeks from now. Both of those teams get a bye week this next week, and then the game happens. So we'll see really how good Georgia is. If Georgia beats Bama, they'll be back to number 1. If Georgia loses, obviously they will fall below probably number 5 or number 6 at least. But here you can see they are just barely behind Texas. Texas receiving 12 more first place votes. Ohio State still does receive 5 first place votes. They really haven't played anyone. They face 2 MAC teams, Ohio State has. And this upcoming week they face Marshall, so should be another easy win for them. They had an early season bye, so they are just sitting at 2-0 and number 3. You do have Alabama. Pretty big discrepancy between total points between Ohio State and Alabama. Bama 103 points behind Ohio State. They are at number 4. They did beat Wisconsin. They played well. They easily covered the 16-point spread. They were in total control of that game. Jalen Milroe, 5 total touchdowns. Ryan Williams, the true freshman receiver, the good defense. They were just way better in terms of overall talent on both sides of the ball than Wisconsin, and just bullied them, to be completely honest. So they're at number 4 still. Of course, they get a bye week, and then they have that game against Georgia. If they beat Georgia, they could be the number 1 team in college football. I mean, that's going to be the number 1 win by far, and they're not the number 4 team right now. They could leapfrog all the way to number 1, but that game will be happening in 2 weeks. You do have Ole Miss. They just crushed Wake Forest 40-6. I saw Wake Forest canceled it was supposed to be a home and home, but Wake Forest canceled the game next year. But Ole Miss right now, they're crushing everyone. They do have an extremely easy non-conference schedule. They've got another non-conference game next week, but it's against Georgia Southern, so that's going to be another easy win for them. But right now, they're at number 5 in the country. This is the ultimate hype for Ole Miss. People love them. I mean, certainly they've looked good. They've covered all 3 spreads, but it has been a very easy schedule so far for them. You do have Tennessee moving up a spot. Pretty crazy. They were up 65-0 against Kent State at the end of the first half. And right now, their offense looks amazing. They've got the huge game against Oklahoma. That's a game I think they can win and really show out, because Oklahoma has not looked too good. But Tennessee does move up a spot after destroying Kent State. And it was 71-0, but that really doesn't do the score justice. They were winning in the first half 65-0, 37-0 at the end of the first quarter. Missouri does move down 1 spot. Kind of funny, after beating a ranked team. Boston College was ranked 24th, but Missouri was sitting as 16-point favorites. They win by 6. They were in control for much of the second half, but I think Missouri was overranked anyways, and this is kind of a correction, moving Tennessee in front of Missouri, although you can say, I mean, Missouri's at number 6. They beat a ranked team. Tennessee beat the worst team in FBS. Is there really a point to moving Missouri below Tennessee? I think they should have already been below them, but maybe this is just a correction. You do have Miami. They're at number 8, so they're up 2 more spots. They crushed Ball State. They were 36-point favorites. They win 62-0. Cam Ward had like 5 passing touchdowns, 300 passing yards in the first half alone. And Miami, right now, they are the odds-on favorite to win the ACC and be a top 4 overall seed. Get that bye in the first round of the playoff. Right now, they're looking really, really good. Although, who knows with Miami? I mean, these are, last week you face an FCS team. This week you're facing Ball State. These are not hard games. I know they won week 1, but Florida, they don't look too good. Maybe we should cool it down on the Miami hype. I think part of the Miami hype, it comes from just the fact that the ACC has been so bad this year. But I wouldn't sleep on Clemson. I know Clemson had that horrible week 1 performance, but week 2 against App State, they looked really good. Then they had a bye week last week. You do have Oregon at number 9. I think Oregon should be higher. I don't know why they were pushed all the way down below Miami, below Missouri. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I know they struggled in 2 games, but going on the road, the Civil War, the rivalry game, they crush Oregon State. They win by 35. They were sitting -16. Everyone thought they wouldn't cover. They easily do. Dylan Gabriel has looked good. I think Oregon's still a top 5 team in college football, but they are still at number 9. You do have Penn State down 2 spots at number 10. So that's just some adjustments. Penn State had a bye. They did not look good against Bowling Green. I thought they were going to move down further after that game against Bowling Green, where they only won by a touchdown. They get Kent State this week. Oh boy, Kent State at home. in a 3:30 game. So that'll be another win for Penn State. USC is coming off a bye. They will face Michigan in the Big House. That's going to be a huge game. If they're able to beat Michigan, they're at least going to be top 10, probably like jump inside of the top 8. Although at that point, if Michigan loses again, they're going to be unranked. So how big of a win really is that? I don't know. I know USC is probably going to be slight favorites going into that game because Michigan, they've just got no QB right now. You do have Utah at number 12. They beat Utah State without Cam Rising. They did not cover. I was surprised their defense allowed 21 points to Utah State, and Utah State was in that game, but Utah gets the job done. They're basically the same team every year. They're not going to have the most talented roster, but they've always got a solid defense, and they'll win the games they're supposed to win. You do have Kansas State up one spot to number 13. They did beat Arizona in a ranked v. ranked matchup. They easily won. They were 7-point favorites. They win by 24. They scored 31 unanswered points. So Kansas State with Avery Johnson, they're getting some hype. They're 3-0 right now. Oklahoma State down a spot. They ended up beating Tulsa on the road. Tulsa is obviously a lot worse than Arizona, so that's why Kansas State gets rewarded over Oklahoma State. But look at this. You've got 3 straight Big 12 teams at 3-0 right now. Kind of a mosh pit there. You do have Oklahoma sitting at number 15. They beat Tulane 34-19. This was a close game in the fourth quarter. It was 24-19. I'm concerned about Oklahoma. I think they're going to lose to Tennessee at home, but that's going to be a big game, and they are 3-0. And Tulane is not a bad team. It's not like Tulane's a bad team. They were, what were they, 10-point favorites? They end up covering that spread. You do have LSU sitting at number 16 still. They survived a huge scare. They should have lost to South Carolina, but they get it done. We win in advance, especially in the SEC. They're 2-1 now. They're still a top 16 team. We'll see, but that was not a good performance on the road at South Carolina. South Carolina controlled that game, and maybe South Carolina is a little bit better than we thought because they easily crushed Kentucky, and then Kentucky barely lost to Georgia. But we will have to see. Notre Dame up one spot. They thrashed Purdue. They were up 42-0 at half. They win 66-7. With games like this, you really have to scale it with the spread. So they were only 10-point favorites. They won this game by 59 points. I mean, that's style points right there for Notre Dame. I know they lost to Northern Illinois. It's a terrible loss. But to get that win, analytically, that's going to help them a lot. And it's very important because Notre Dame could find themselves sitting at 10-2. And then you're looking at analytics. You're looking at resume. They need all the analytics they can get. So to win a game like that, not just win like, 24-7. No, they won 66-7, and they thoroughly dominated them in the first half. Michigan down one spot. They beat Arkansas State 28-18. To be fair to Michigan, they were up 28-3. The game was pretty much over. Arkansas State scored 2 late touchdowns and a 2-point conversion. But still, for Michigan, they've got no quarterback, and I think they're going to lose to USC. I mean, we'll see. They're going to be at home. They were at home against Texas. They lost. Beating Arkansas State, you're 22-point favorites. You win by 10 points. It's not a great look. Louisville is coming off a bye. They're at number 19. Iowa State, they had a bye. They're at number 20. They face Arkansas State this week. Iowa State does. You do have Clemson at number 21. They just had a bye as well. I think Clemson faces NC State at home, and they're going to be pretty big favorites. NC State has had a horrible start to their year. Nebraska, they beat Northern Iowa. They did not cover that spread. They were like 40-point favorites. They're at number 22. They face Illinois. I thought Illinois possibly was going to be. Oh, yeah, Illinois is ranked. So that'll be a ranked v. ranked matchup. Nebraska at number 22. That's a Friday night game this week against Illinois. So that'll be an 8 o'clock primetime Friday night matchup. You do have Northern Illinois. They're ranked. So how about this? Northern Illinois and Illinois. Northern Illinois up 2 spots after having that bye week. They face Buffalo this week, starting their MAC play. So they are ranked at number 23. And then Texas A&M, kind of disappointed Texas A&M ended up getting ranked at 2-1. I mean, I guess they easily beat Florida. It's a pretty impressive win, but Florida's a sinking ship with Billy Napier. And I would have liked to have seen Memphis get ranked at 3-0. I would have liked to have seen Boise State, even though they're 1-1. I would have liked to have seen them get ranked. Syracuse, UNLV. I don't know. Boston College did just lose. I mean, you could put really anyone at that number 25 spot. How about Toledo for crushing Mississippi State? You do also have Washington State sitting at 3-0. They won their rivalry game. Arizona still getting some. Yeah, Arizona should be knocked out. Iowa getting some votes after losing to Iowa State. Indiana, it would be cool to see Indiana get ranked. They're going to be facing Charlotte this coming week, so they're going to win that game at home. They're going to be 4-0. California gets 11 votes. They have a game this coming week on the road at FSU. Liberty gets 10 votes. Liberty should not be ranked. They have a terrible schedule. Toledo, UCF. UCF now is 3-0. Very close game. They were losing most of it against TCU, but they come back, they win. South Carolina. South Carolina, man, it's been an interesting year. You barely beat Old Dominion. You crush Kentucky, who then barely loses to Georgia, and then you should have beat LSU, but you blow the game late. North Carolina almost lost to an FCS team. They had a terrible performance. Arizona State, BYU's had a nice start to the year. They're 3-0. And then Pittsburgh, they did beat West Virginia. That was a good win for them. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.